Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Camille White. This evening, I wanted to share a presentation that I've done for several of my clients. It's called Road to Abundance, and it really focuses on healing money trauma as a discussion of wealth empowerment for the Black community. Again, my name is Dr. Camille White. I'm the CEO of Inspire to Evolve. I provide holistic executive coaching services. And if you want to reach out to me, my contact is inspiretoevolve.com. That's my website. So let's jump in. A little bit about me. I'm a physician by training, and I've been fortunate enough to pivot my career 4 times. I like to vibe very high, and I like to align my passion with purpose. So that led me from being in the clinics to the government, and then I worked in corporate America. And in all three environments, I noticed that people would come in really ill, misaligned, thinking about their life and how their career would fit in. Sometimes the career was damaging to their health. And like I said, I saw it in all three aspects, whether I was a physician, when I went into the government space, I saw my coworkers that way. And when I was in corporate America, I saw it again. And so I wanted to fill that gap, bring my expertise in medicine and mindset and leadership to the forefront. And I created Inspire to Evolve. We offer leadership, lifestyle, mindset, career development, and personal development services. One of the things I really like about being in business for myself and really like about entrepreneurship is the offering that I have for people. I coach them in their businesses, I inspire them, I motivate them, and I really challenge them to navigate their careers or whatever industries that they're in to have less stress and better health outcome because I believe in people and want them to do their very best. My coaching is based on success principles from my education. I have a degree in medicine, a master's in health administration, and 2 undergrad degrees, one in biology and one in chemistry. But I learned a lot along the way. So I use my education, I focus on life skills, and then my corporate experience, and I bring all that to bear to get clients on track and make them feel loved and really encourage them, make them feel like they can do it. Through my coaching services, I work one-on-one with people, and through our one-on-one, I introduce them to different topics, and then we have a co-creation session so that they never feel like they're alone when they're building out whatever deliverables or materials that I've tasked them for homework. So let's get into it. The Black community has $1.8 trillion in buying power, right? And this is important because we have so many companies that are rolling back DEI initiatives, right? Walmart, Target, McDonald's. And McDonald's was always talking about their 365 Black. So the absurdity of them rolling back DEI initiatives, but with that $1.8 trillion, it's buying power. It's not Black wealth because you see, Black household wealth is only $11,000. And that's with 4 people in the household. So we're basically consumers. And I wanted to dig into the literature to back this up. According to the Road to Zero Wealth report published by Prosperity Now, we're actually in a race to the bottom, with the median wealth of Black Americans falling to zero by 2053 if current trends continue. If we continue along this consumerism path, using our buying power to buy from people and not putting it in our households or putting it in our communities, we're racing to the bottom. So why is this? The Black community is abundance. We've gone through so many trials and tribulations and been able to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, or even when people didn't have bootstraps, we were able to make something happen, basically getting it out of the mud. Because we know abundance is our birthright. We're innovative and we drive the culture. But the problem is big corporations use our culture, mass produce it, and sell it back to us. So this makes us consumers and decreases our ability to build wealth. So this is speaking directly to the $1.8 trillion that we have as buying power because we're consumers. And so if companies know that we're consumers, they're not worried about saying we're going to roll back DEI initiatives because they feel like this is their usual behavior. They usually buy, they don't hold on to their money. So they will continue along the path of over consuming and sometimes overconsumption. So what contributes to our consumerism? Let's get down to it. Money trauma, mindset, and conditioning. We've, gone through so much as a people around money, and sometimes there is a negative mindset attached to it, and we can get conditioned by that, and we can pass it on to our families and share that negativity and that mindset in our communities. So, in a world where DEI programs are disappearing, is more than ever to recognize the energy our dollar represents and to be very intentional with that because where our focus goes, our energy flows, and we have to be intentional about harnessing our energy and our focus. So let's get into money trauma. It's a deeply rooted psychological response to money-related stress and adversity, leaving lasting scars on our emotional and well-being. 72% of Americans report feeling stressed about money when it's time to pay bills, thinking they don't have enough, afraid of, oh my gosh, how much is it going to be? A third experience symptoms of anxiety and depression, shortness of breath, chest tightness, muscles aching, just feeling overwhelmed about money issues, whether it be bills, not having, wanting to buy something, not having control over spending, not having the mindset to save. And what causes this? It could be debt, chronic financial insecurity, acute life events, collective trauma, and of course, racism over generations and generations. And then when you think about the chronic financial insecurity that is being underemployed or underpaid or being subject to that next emergency that you cannot pay for and debt. So credit card debt. A lot of people used to get buy here, pay here loans that had an exorbitant interest rate on them where they could not even dig themselves out. We talk about acute life events like that medical emergency that can cause a bankruptcy, the collective trauma, and again, the racism. So, as we go about our lives, what are the signs and symptoms of money trauma or financial trauma? Overachieving. So you're going to that job, you're going early and you're staying late. You're driving yourself into the ground. You're neglecting your health. You're not getting up, walking around. You're eating poorly, and you're doing this. You have the degrees, but you keep getting them at the and abusing your health, and you're getting these degrees, but not necessarily plugging them into work or asking for the money or the position that aligns with what you have. And we can use going to school, getting education for as an excuse to stay stuck in the books instead of getting out and executing and really getting to where we're supposed to be in life. The other thing is undervaluing yourself. So being afraid to ask for what you're worth. And I had an interesting conversation with a client who was going after a particular job. We were talking about, well, what do you want your life to look like? What do you want your career to look like? And she said, well, I don't, even though the salary range is a certain amount, I don't need that much money. So I'm going to tell them I need a lower salary because she felt that will make her more competitive in the job market and they would hire her because they wouldn't have to pay as much money for her. And that is undervaluing yourself. The next one is overspending. So impulsive, thoughtless spending. If you grew up and you always wanted a pair of shoes that you weren't able to get, now that you're an adult and you have money, you buy all the shoes. You'll see this with athletes who've made it, who are rich and they'll go out and buy all the cars, all the toys, all these objects, knowing that they can only drive one vehicle, knowing that they're spending all their money on these toys, and then when they retire, their spending is out of control, and now that they're retired, they don't have enough money to support themselves. The other thing is hoarding money. So endless working and saving and no goals for the future. Another client had this where she was living below her means, working a lot of overtime, saving the money. But when she met her financial goals, her financial advisor said, well, what's the point now? Now that you have the money, what do you want to do? And she said, nothing, I'll just keep saving. And to the point where she was even fearful of buying the new house that she wanted. And I just didn't get it. And it was incapacitating for her. It was breaking her down. She wanted to remodel her home, but was having challenges with that because of the spending. The other thing is imposter syndrome. So second guessing yourself, not assuming the level of expert, not stating that you're the expert on a topic, not standing up for yourself at work, always saying, well, no, maybe something's wrong, or they'll find out that I got a C in this class, or I'm really not capable. So taking yourself out of the competition based on kind of belittling yourself, not believing in yourself, and saying that other people are going to think less of you, even though they're not. So that's imposter syndrome. What am I doing here? I don't deserve it. I shouldn't be here. Even though you're more than capable of being in the job, even though you're more than capable of being in that space. And your imposter syndrome can cause you to lose money. You will not apply for jobs. You will not stand up for yourself. You will not assume leadership roles because you're holding yourself back. All this has to do with a scarcity mindset, limiting beliefs, and fear-based actions, which can keep you broke. They can keep you from your money, keep you overspending, and stop you from building wealth. So what causes this trauma? Then let's look at the narrative and the psychological impact. There's been a lot of research around adverse childhood experiences and generational trauma. So the money trauma, when you think about ACE, the ACE score, what is it? It's a 10-item self-report developed to identify experience of childhood abuse, neglect, and other hallmarks that would equate to a rough childhood. So when you have these in place, it can impact your life socially, emotionally, and as far as cognitive development is concerned, and cause you to have health problems in adulthood. So rougher childhoods have a higher score, but not all people with high ACE scores, or not all people who've had a rough childhood do poorly, because there is some balance. Resilience can be built through having positive experiences, like grandparents who love you, aunts and uncles who can be a supportive part of the environment, a good teacher at school, a best friend, sports that you participate in, clubs, going to the library, having people who are bright spots in that rough childhood, having people who believe in you and uplift you and nice, so that if there is something going on in your day-to-day situation, you have a place to go, or a little bit of an outlet. So let's look at the types of ACEs. Number one, abuse. So that can be physical, emotional, or sexual. And, this could be getting beat up all the time. This could be siblings fighting. This could be fighting at school. This could be the bullying, the mobbing, emotional, where you don't feel loved, or you're neglected, or you're clearly denied affection. Then there's also the sexual abuse, and a lot of people go through this. And with the sexual abuse, you'll find that many people were told never to voice it, don't talk about it. And if they did, then they were not validated. The next is neglect, physical neglect. So perhaps, you didn't receive love, lack of cleanliness, lack of food in the household, lack of clothing, the basic necessities, just not getting those basic necessities, looking at other children, seeing what they have, seeing how they're cared for, seeing how they're loved, but you're not getting it. And the emotional, again, isolation of effect, your parents not showing your parents or your providers not showing you love, not being gentle to you, not wanting to sit down and discuss your needs, not really taking an emotional approach to raising you. Household dysfunction. So mental illness, if there is someone in the household with a mental illness, and you know how a lot of Black people don't want their relatives to go into the system. So they'll have them at the house, have them, in a room somewhere. And, the kids are subject to this. Having an incarcerated relative, that causes a lot of stress on the household. A mother treated violently, domestic violence situations, substance abuse. If someone in the household is on drugs, and then there's divorce, not being able to see a parent, or the finances being taken out of a home, that causes a lot of emotional trauma. And this source is the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, as well as the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. Thank you to them for creating this infographic. So money trauma, let's talk about generational trauma. There's a lot in the literature now around epigenetics where male black boys, when they're born, will have certain reflexes that has been passed down to them and actually modified their DNA based on police brutality. We've been brutalized by police extensively, and this new reaction that they have is basically a protective mechanism that has changed their DNA. So what one person experiences in their lifetime can be passed down to their descendants. It's called epigenetics, where the expression of the gene is changed depending on the conditions someone has lived through. And your lineage will have that stress without the direct impact of the action. And I think that this is it's a hard pill to swallow on one end, but on the other end, we want to protect our communities as we're leaving our homes. There has to be some protection in place, and if society doesn't grant us these protections, then we need to have them for ourselves. So a testimonial from a client. I'm a career coach, so I like to brag, and I'm very appreciative that people have allowed me to come into their lives and support them. This client, she shared with me that our interactions have been truly transformational. She's had great financial success, but began to feel stuck in a routine that left her unfulfilled. She was able to reconnect with her vision. So it's very important to reach out for counseling. Just don't rely on, family and friends and kind of dump on them, but get some professional help. If you're feeling stuck despite your achievements, reach out to me and I can certainly have a conversation with you and get you on a roll to fulfillment, aligning your purpose with your passion. So we've had this discussion about that $1.8 trillion and being consumers and epigenetics and the conversations and, overspending and what causes it. But that's not the end of the story. We have the power to shift the narrative, and there are a lot of opportunities to build wealth. As leaders, innovators, and culture shifters, we have to embrace wealth as we have to embrace wealth equity as a core strategy. So how do we lean into this? Let's discuss a few opportunities. So knowledge is power. We have to be equipped with the knowledge to transform the income we make into wealth that we keep, regardless of the political climate, regardless of the environment. We have to be resilient. Your money has to start working for you if you want to build wealth. And this is from J.D. Smith. He is a wealth counselor, and he made this comment in the Race to Zero. So the statistics, even though we're saying that race to zero, no wealth in the black household, black community by 2053. It's time for a revolutionary shift. We can get busy and change the game. So how do we do this? A few ideas: shifting the narrative, building financial resilience through ownership. So businesses, real estate or stock market, the REITs, intellectual property. Ownership is one of the fastest paths to generational wealth. Minority-owned businesses can tap into supplier diversity programs or university procurement program partnerships, and these underutilized resources can accelerate growth. Now, when we talk about ownership, especially for, when I talk to some people, they talk about real estate, home ownership, and they talk about owning a home as being a negative thing. Home ownership, they say, is not going to get you to the American dream. But what they don't understand is the equity that a home can have and being able to pass that home, which is on land, down through the generations. They always talk about, well, owning a home is very expensive, and then you'll have the upkeep of it. It is expensive. You're going to have the upkeep for it, but you do have to plan. And on the flip side, if you're living in an apartment, the rent can skyrocket on you and you don't own it. So you just have to become educated, pick and choose your battles, and come up with a strategy, because building wealth is about a strategy. So there's real estate. The other option is to buy REITs, right? So you don't want to own property. You get into the stock market and you buy REITs, and that way you have you own a piece of the property, but you're not responsible for the upkeep or anything like that. And um it's usually like corporate properties and things like that. I don't quote me exactly, but it is part of the stock market. I buy ETFs, and REITs are another form of that, I believe, because you can go in and buy a basket of stocks. So I invest in technology. So if I don't just buy one from one company, I buy a basket of stocks. So it'll be Amazon, Salesforce, it'll be Zoom, it'll be whatever it is. And if one of them goes down, the rest go up. And so I don't lose money just by putting my money on one company. And that's why I like the stock market. Intellectual property. If you have a business, owning the name, owning the white papers that go with it, owning the contacts that are a part of it, that's part of your intellectual property. So we have to get really smart about this to accelerate growth. Investing in innovation centered around the needs of Black community. So let's look at apps that serve our needs, services, and products. Many of the products that we use right now don't even reflect our use experiences, and we're capable of building. So let's build items that reflect our values and needs and not just consume them. Similarly, supporting Black businesses can be an everyday practice, not just for Black History Month. And that means finding the Black businesses within your community, creating a relationship with them, finding ones that offer the service level that you're accustomed to, and then supporting them, and then sharing their information with other people, and not having the mindset that you're doing somebody a favor because you're buying Black. You're actually supporting your community. Not having the mindset that, oh, if I'm buying Black, it's going to be an inferior product. That's just not true. Having the mindset that you're creating relationships, you're going to get a good product, you'll be able to communicate clearly on what your wants and needs are, and be able to receive exceptional service. The other thing is we can prioritize financial literacy and intentional spending. So looking at compound interest, the equity that's built up in our homes, investing, interest rates, and predatory lending. We should be having these conversations around our dining room tables freely, discussing ways to leverage money and build assets. From understanding compound effect of investments to teaching the next generation how to save and build credit, we have to normalize these financial conversations. I remember sitting down with a family member and asking them about the stock market, and they rebuffed me and they said, well, as soon as you start making money, the company that you work at, they'll sit down with you and they'll teach you about how to invest. And I think I was probably like 10 at the time. And so in my mind, I was thinking, well, I have to get a good job. And then once I get a good job, then they'll teach me these things. And I wish it had been a conversation of, well, maybe we can go to the library and get those books, but at that time it was kind of children were seen and not heard. And that's the way that I took that response. But since then, I've taught myself and been able to jump into different aspects of financial literacy on my own. And I continue to read and study. Another shift in the narrative, collaborating and scaling thoughtfully. If you're starting a business, a lot of the conversation around it is, oh, 50% of businesses fail. There are a lot of businesses that are successful, and the keys are building slowly. You don't have to take all of your money and dump it into the business right away. Again, be intentional, create a business plan, and start doing a little bit at a time. There is no one pathway to entrepreneurship. There is no one pathway to having a business, and people can give you an advice, but that may not work for you. So be open-minded and ready to pivot. And part of that is collaborating and scaling thoughtfully by building slowly, creating trusting partnerships, consider bartering, so trading services, and investing in community building. So sometimes intentional smallness is the path to big impact. And we talked about being an entrepreneur. You don't need to scale at the expense of sustainability. You can do a little bit at a time. We have to focus on profitable community-centered growth without being pressured by comparing ourselves to others. You'll hear this story of, oh, they've had a business for a year and they're already millionaires. What are you doing? Your path might be different. So don't compare. The bottom line is we have limitless potential. I like to think about walking towards a future version of myself, visioning her as being great. I'm already great, but visioning her as being even greater, having achieved more goals and more successes, happiness, having a very fulfilled life. And it's just not about economics. It's about love, pride, and belief in that limitless potential. So every step that I make, I say I am building towards my future self and I'm walking in that direction. We have to invest in each other. And I think about walking towards my future self as building a very bright light. And once I have this bright light, I share the brightness with someone else. They get a piece of it and then they share it with someone, they share it with someone, they share it with someone. And in that regard, we multiply the impact of our resources and create a legacy of abundance and empowerment for future generations because they get the wealth and then they say, let me continue to build. They get the wealth, the education, and they continue to build on what has been given to them. So I want to say thank you for listening to me. I really enjoyed putting this presentation together and I really enjoy sharing information. So thank you, much gratitude. And when we give thanks out into the world, when we give gratitude, good things come back to us. So I want to tell you a little bit about my services. I offer full career and lifestyle audits to align you with ways to increase your abundance and wealth, whether that be through business, entrepreneurship, your job. Please contact me for an initial consultation. Here's my information and a QR code. Serious inquiries only, and I really like to help people, but you have to make an investment of time, your treasure, and your talent. So if you're in that position where you do want to make an investment in yourself and you want to invest in moving forward, then give me a call. So here's a little bit about my holistic executive coaching services. My services are purpose driven to support your personal and professional development. They are private one-on-one coaching meetings, 2 meetings a week, 12 weeks. 24 sessions designed for your abundance, joy, and expansion. There are co-working sessions, accountability sessions, focused learnings. I have homework and deliverables, workbooks and templates, personalized presentations, and then the meetings are recorded. You get the recording and you can play it back so you can continue to learn. We cover, depending on what your needs are, we cover resume and technical skills, industry alignment, value mapping, journey mapping. So what's your career journey going to look like? Executive presence, communication skills, networking, business development and transformation, strategic planning, innovation, as well as branding and marketing. And these are supported by mindfulness, law of attraction, gratitude, visioning exercises. Vision, I talked about that future version of myself. So visioning what your world is going to look like in the future and making your way towards that, being very intentional, personal transformation, working on building a better you, storytelling, setting boundaries, giving yourself permission to prosper, because even though you want to be successful, sometimes you hold yourself back. So developing a growth mindset as well as elevating yourself. I always say together we can navigate the future. And from a corporate perspective and business development perspective and personal growth, let's focus on leadership development, discussing workplace microaggressions, having work-life balance, micromanagement. This happens sometimes with bosses who are insecure. Focus on what your one-on-one meetings will look like with your boss, workplace politics, thinking about your 360-degree review prep, how to get promoted, salary negotiations, workplace psychological abuse, prepping for your interviews so that the conversations are flowing, you're not nervous. And then if you're interested, even business startup. So a lot of people really enjoy the programs, but want a little bit more. And I do have an inner circle. And with that inner circle, clients who are part of that receive a little bit extra. They'll have priority scheduling. So you meet twice a week, but with the priority scheduling, you get to pick out the time slot that you want, especially since it's one-on-one. You say, hey, had to pick up my kids late or whatever, but I want to meet every day at 4 o'clock. Is that possible? Yes. You get the time slot, you get exposure to premium time slots. Direct access via direct message. Also extended access. There's a 2 post-program check-ins that I'll do to ensure your continued success. I also offer exclusive bonus modules, so leveraging emotional intelligence for your career success. I offer a personalized career assessment, which is a detailed report analyzing your strengths, opportunities, and tailored recommendations to fast track your goals. There's also a resource bundle, which is a curated list of leadership books and podcasts for mindfulness, achievement, and abundance, because you want to continue to grow. And then also one-on-one manifesting for abundance. I provide this to supercharge your goals as an additional private session. I also offer something called hot seat coaching. This comes in 15-minute, 30-minute, or 60-minute increments. It's laser focused coaching crafted to elevate your career with immediate actionable solutions. And it's designed for a quick launch. Some people say, hey, I don't want to do the 12 weeks, but I do have questions to ask. I want to pick your brain, and they're good for you slot yourself into the 15, 30, or 60-minute sessions. And it really is a boost. People love it. They come out with a list of things. We have a conversation. They come out with a list of things. They feel very empowered, and they're like, wow, I can't wait to get started. So this has been an additional program that people really like. So if you want to contact us at Inspire to Evolve, this is my email address. I'm also on TikTok. I'm on Instagram under Lovely Dr. Camille. I'm at LinkedIn, Dr. Camille White, MD, MHA. And then my website is inspiretoevolve.com. If you need help, reach out to me. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for listening to my program.